Hey everybody, it's Trigger Bar Philosopher. Welcome back out to the channel. Today we have another exciting episode in our series on 380 self-defense cartridges. Today we're going to take a look at one from G9 Defense. It's their self-defense offering and it's an external hollow point. Should be a good time. Let's get to shooting. All right, well, what are we talking about today? Today we are talking about the external hollow point from G9 Defense. Now, G9 Defense has their own external hollow point. Don't confuse it with several others that are offered from Lehigh Defense. Lehigh Defense has its own design, which is both of them are screw tip designs, and their design is such that they are solid copper projectiles. And the way these projectiles are designed is so that as they go through tissue, they create a hydrodynamic effect where there is extra tearing and extra pushing and extra disruption into the tissue so that it creates additional damage. Now, one of the old adages from self-defense rounds, especially in pistol rounds, is the damage is only done by the cutting of the tissue defined by the diameter of the projectile. Well, that's not exactly true. You can look at what a round nose does versus what a wad cutter does. Wad cutter is a very flat billet tip. It's totally flat. And a round nose obviously comes to a round nose, typically in full metal jacket. When you shoot that into some type of tissue, it actually produces often a wound that's smaller than the diameter of the bullet. And because it's sort of wiggling its way through in some of the journals, as they call it, it kind of pushes tissue aside as it goes through. Well, the wad cutter sometimes will produce damage that's bigger than the projectile itself, as it does a little bit more damage as that blunt face is tried to push through the tissue that it's going through. Well, they've done some neat designs, and two companies have come up with different designs to put flutes into the external into this round copper so that it does extra damage as it goes through. In the past on this channel, we have looked at Lehigh Defense and it performs fantastic, with the exception that it doesn't perform reliably out of the 380 Bodyguard. And that's the topic of most of my series. I've been looking at how does ammunition perform out of this new Bodyguard 2.0, which I believe is revolutionizing pocket carry. One of the issues with Lehigh Defense is that round sometimes hangs up on one of the two feed ramps in the Bodyguard and can create some feeding issues. There'll be people in my comments that say all you have to do is polish it, and I know that for some people that does fix the issue. In my pistol, it did not fix the issue, and I still have reliability issues with the Lehigh Defense projectile, either loaded by Underwood or one of the other manufacturers of ammunition. So what we want to test today is the G9 bullet shape more compatible with the design of the Bodyguard 2.0. As we can see, the Lehigh Defense has a more elongated and sharper edges at the top related to those flutes that are in it, versus the G9 is a little bit more rounded, which may lead to better feeding. So that's what we're going to look at. We're going to test gel, we're going to test accuracy, and most of all, we're going to test reliability. Let's see what it does out of the 380 Bodyguard. Should be a good time. Let's take a look at what our test setup is going to be now. All right, so let's just take a quick look at our testing contraption. What we have set up at the moment is 32 inches of gel. The first block is clear, the other block has been used before. Gel is expensive, so we reuse in our catch block some older samples. This is 380 ACP. I don't anticipate it to go through the first block. I'm gonna shoot one out of the Bodyguard 2.0 into the first block. Then I'm going to put on my contraption and we're going to add more gel to the front of it, 2 inches of gel. Then I'll put in some medium density fiberboard, which allows for two things to happen. Simulates bone a little bit. It has similar hardness factor as bone, and it has a similar water density as bone. But then it also helps get us to the point where Clear Ballistics starts to simulate organic gelatin. Clear Ballistics tends to allow bullets to over-penetrate, under-expand. This is non-expanding bullet, but I'm just telling you. And the MDF in it allows it to do a little bit more. I do some different things than other channels who use this as well. I use 2 inches of gel followed by the MDF, and I'm going to have 2 layers of MDF, so that's going to be a 1/2 inch total. Then we're going to have our 32 inches of gel behind that. That's our test setup. Let's get to shooting. Okay, well, we have the 70 grain projectile from G9 We'll see how it does. We've got just our gel set up. Hopefully we can catch it with our radar contraption here. Yep, 1090.8. It's a little bit less than I was hoping for, but that's what we got. Let's go down, take a look and see how it performed in just the ballistic gelatin. Okay, let's take a quick look and see. Bullet came in down here, did pretty well. We got some disruption out to about the 7.5, 8 inch mark. And then it just kind of gave us a regular wound track as it went. At some point in there, it looks like it may have flipped around. So it was going butt first, probably somewhere in there. The fluting in there does look a little one-dimensional as I start to take on from this perspective. I don't think that's going as fast or doing as much damage as the Underwood bullets are. But as I said before, these bullets are shaped just a little bit different. We're gonna have to see later if they feed, but that's what we're getting so far with just ballistic gelatin. Put the rest of our contraption on, I expect to get less penetration as we add 4 layers of clothing, 2 denim, 2 t-shirt, and then 2 layers of 1/4 inch MDF. We'll see how that does. Okay, this is our second shot. We have that 70 grain G9 projectile. Let's see how we do. See if I can get this shot in. 1066. The bullet came in right here. You can see by the more clouded nature of it. We have here, so the hitch was right here. We can see that it did start to not expand, but blow out more as it went through. The test went down past that first 2 inches of gel, past the t-shirt, past the clothing. I thought it did some decent disruption, again, out to the 7 inch marks. Maybe because it's colored more, I felt like it did more disruption. I don't know. But then it stopped a little short. It went down to about the 12 inch mark. Sometimes you might wonder if these bullets would over penetrate, but not in clear ballistic gel, certainly. So I personally think that's a good result. You know, you don't have to worry about these things expanding because they're an external hollow point, so they don't do that. The flutes on the outside create a hydrodynamic, fluid dynamic breakup of this tissue, if you will, the simulation of tissue. And yeah, so it's not a bad perspective to look at when we're gauging it from this. I think that's pretty good. It's not going as fast as I want. In my mind, I have that the Underwood XTP 90 grain was going about 1050. The Plus P was going over 1100. Again, 90 grains. This is their regular. They don't have a Plus P version. 380 doesn't have a Plus P, even though manufacturers say they do, and it's kind of like 10% more, something like that. And this is, you know, it's just less than it, you know, and I just wish that it was loaded just a little bit more, but they're probably just doing, hey, look, let's be safe in all guns, have a safety factor, and I think it's adequate. You know, so if you're like looking for an FMJ, but slightly better than an FMJ, I tell you what, if you had a round nose, it would go further. If you had a flat top, check out my test on the flat tops or the semi-wad cutter. This is doing better than that. The disruption earlier on here is better than the semi-wad cutters that are offered in 380 ACP. Unlike 38 Special, where you can have a full wad cutter, like a just total flat front, those perform better than probably even these. So with that said, though, I think it looks pretty good. The big question, though, is how does the Bodyguard 2.0 shoot this in terms of what kind of velocities, and is it reliable? Let's check that out now. Okay, these are our 3 projectiles that we recovered. These 2 over here actually went through MDF. One of them less, and so it kind of just skipped along the top. And this one over here is the one that didn't go through anything. There is really no difference between any of these. The MDF didn't cause any deformation, and that's why sometimes some people say, hey, the MDF isn't a great approximation of bone, because oftentimes you'll see even the solid coppers deform just a little bit with it, but I saw no deformation from it. They all look like they could almost be reloaded if it wasn't for the rifling on them. Okay, we have the Bodyguard 2.0. We have a few rounds loaded up. I've got my Garmin slightly off camera that is going to be trying to register. I got a little bit of steel downrange. We'll see what these suckers are doing. 1076. 1101. 1070. 1106, 1084. Trying to see if I can find where these cases are ejecting to, so in case I can take a look at those. Let's just take a quick look though at the session summary. Okay, so this includes the shots we also used in gel, but we had 10 shots. We had a min of 1051, an average of 1080, max of 1106, extreme spread of 55, average kinetic energy of 181, which isn't bad, honestly. Some 380 ACP goes below 150 foot-pounds. That's, in my book, like not going good enough. This is at least getting towards the 200. That Underwood XTP that I think is probably one of the best rounds in 380 is getting better. Also, the Underwood Xtreme Defender is getting better than this, which is a more similar round to this, but this one seems to be, so far, operating in my gun. Okay, with that group, now I want to shoot some of our traditional accuracy precision testing. Okay, we have a few rounds, more than 5. I usually do 5. Just to get some sampling of it, but I really want to use the whole full 2 boxes of ammunition from this G9 company. And the reason I want to do that is I want to see, is this ammunition going to be reliable in my Bodyguard 2.0? I've talked about it before, just reiterate it. It's a similar bullet shape technology as the Underwood Xtreme Defender or the Lehigh Xtreme Defense round that other companies load. This is just a little bit more rounder, and I think it performs, my theory is it will perform just a little bit better in people's bodyguards. Some people seem to have problems running that ammunition in their Bodyguard 2.0. The theory is this will run better and get similar-ish performance. So we're gonna keep the same test. I shoot at 5 yards. Why do I shoot at 5 yards? Because I have a freaking 380. Like, I'm not gonna be sniping people at 150 yards with a 380. I mean, people question the capabilities at 3 to 5 yards. I'm not going to shoot it at 10 yards, right? So this is my practical accuracy. I have over 20 videos now, so you can see, is it me? Is it the ammo? How does this ammo print? I always aim at the middle of the target. How does this ammo aim? Does it go up and to the left, lower to the right? If you have your sight set on one type of ammo, will this go off from that and work with it? Those are the types of things. We're not talking about true precision with this setup. So enough yapping. Everyone complains I yap too much, and I get it. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I've shot some smaller number of groups better, but I think it's good. It does seem to be hitting lower. And I noticed that even with my gel testing, it seems to be hitting lower than other 380 ammunition that I have. All right, this is just that 7 or 8 shot group. Seems to be doing good. I was aiming here. Most of them seem to be hitting here. Other shots, I've had ammo hit here. I've had ammo hit here. I've had ammo hit straight on. Ammo changes slightly, right? Each, so know what your ammunition does. Okay, well, we're gonna do something just a little bit different. I've done this a few other times, so it's not that different. We're just gonna test kind of a little bit of a scenario out with it where I'm gonna try and shoot multiple targets. We've got steel, we've got paper. I have 2 magazines full. This isn't a set course of fire that I have all worked out, so you'll see me make decisions about which target I'm gonna hit next, so on and so forth. I'm just doing it One, because it helps me train, helps me get better. Two, if there's someone who's less used to training than I am, which may be few of you, then hopefully this might help you out to get ideas on how you might set up something for yourself. Again, I'm not at all claiming to be an expert in this, I'm just showing you what I'm doing, but I am very welcome to hear from you different ways to set this up and ways I can improve my technique and my training methods. Okay, with that said, I'm going to start close on paper, move back. I'm going to experiment with a couple of different cameras. This camera should track me. We'll see how that coverage goes. I will also have coverage on my eyes. We'll see how that goes. I'm not going to engage steel until I get backed up just a little bit so that I don't, get ricochets and things like that. So we will start up front. We'll see how this thing follows and tracks me. I'm going to start here about where I was shooting before at about 5 yards, and then we will move up and we'll just go on an imaginary beep. Beep. Did not get slide lock back. Did not get slide lock back. And we did on that one. I didn't get slide lock back, but there was nothing in there when I reloaded. My reloads were a little slow, getting out of your pockets. Pocket carry slows you down, but at least you have something with you when at times you couldn't have something, or at least you have transitioned from a primary gun to a secondary gun. You're going to have that transition time. Okay, well, let's just walk through that a little bit, what we did. Those do create a little bit of an interesting cutout on the paper as they're coming through. I think it's as they're tearing and twisting. But there was two there. Looks like I totally missed. I must have missed over this direction with it. But I got one in the center, and I was point shooting at that time. I did okay on the dueling tree. I probably should have painted it. I think I did good on, I missed a couple there, but I was getting good hits. And then I lastly had hits on the steel. Kind of a cool little effect. I was just finishing up some other shooting and found this on the ground after my steel. So this is one of the G9 projectiles after it hits steel. Yay, we got expansion. Okay, well, good news. It looks like it operated perfectly throughout the day. I didn't have any hangups. I did have one round that didn't lock the slide back, but I think that was probably more to how I have that high grip, and sometimes I hit the slide stop. I've done that on other videos, but I had zero malfunctions. So far, I think with the testing with 2 boxes of ammunition, it's 40 rounds. We're pretty good on that. That's pretty exciting that we see the reliability that we sought after. I wish that it was going just a tad bit faster. It feels like it's loaded just a little bit less than the Underwood ammunition is, but it's not bad. We see with the Underwood XTP, it's going 1050 with a 90 grain projectile. With their 68 grain projectile, they were going over 1100 feet per second. So the G9 systems is just loaded a little bit lighter. You may be fine with where it's loaded at, or you may want to keep trying to get one of the Underwood rounds to run in your pistol. I think this is totally acceptable. It's a great concept, especially for the 380, where people are like, well, I just want to carry FMJ because I'm worried about not getting enough penetration with my 380 anyways, so I want to carry that full metal jacket. Well, in this system, we saw that it gets plenty of penetration, even with putting 2 layers of that medium density fiberboard, and I'll talk about that just a second. We saw that it's totally great penetration and is somewhat barrier blind to those things, which is what you hope will happen with the FMJ, because the 380 ACP round is going slow enough, we saw on the channel, that some hollow points don't open up. So with that, I think that this is a decent round for you to consider for whether or not you want to carry it. Let's get back to my testing. in some panic mode, I decided to throw in two. I thought it would be a great idea. I've listened to some other folks. I put in 2 boards of medium density fiberboard, totaling a 1/2 inch. I'm experimenting around. I really shouldn't have experimented in this video. My apologies for that. Unfortunately, I can't find any more G9 ammunition out there to do a retest, so I'm just going to put this video out. At some point, probably we'll retest it with just a single 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch board in there. So my apologies for the lack of consistency in the testing. My intent is to provide a consistent test medium, whether you agree with it or not, but at least given this test medium compared to other test mediums, is this ammunition performing what you want? And that is a little bit of the point, is that we should have consistency in what we are reviewing so that you can compare one round to the next round, because I don't think you can say, oh, this round got 12 inches in trigger bars test, so therefore it would get 12 inches in some type of real action that you may be using it for self-defense. I don't think we have that type of accuracy, but what you can say is, I want more penetration, and I saw trigger bars tests and they got more with this round, or that's acceptable, or less is acceptable. You're going to have to make all of those determinations for you. Well, with that, I'm glad to keep continuing this series. At some point, I will do a roundup of Trigger Bar's favorite rounds for the 380 and the Bodyguard 2.0, but there's more to come on that. We have a few more rounds I want to get through in testing. With that, please put any comments that you have in the comment section. I hope everyone has a great week. Let's get to shooting.
Out here in the hard land,
without anything in front of it. Then I'm going to put on my contraption over here.
Trigger bar philosopher, it's you and me. From pistols to rifles, we'll take on the best. Reviewing each weapon, put them to the test. With revolvers and shotguns, we'll break it all down. The Second Amendment protects from the crown.